how's it going? I'm going to tie another fly tonight. Tied one earlier today, posted it already, but I felt like doing another one because it's been a while. So here we go. So a little while back I tied a fly that was a one feather fly, showing how you can use one feather and get some different effects out of it to make a dry fly pattern. And I'm going to do a similar fly, and actually in that video I mentioned a fly called a Quill Gordon, and I'm going to do, I don't know if it's the exact recipe. There's some flies that are out there that have certain recipes that you can do to make them the official kind of fly. I'm not all into that. Sometimes I'll tie them, but usually I just make up my own stuff or something based on those flies. So I wanted to do something along the lines of a Quill Gordon, and so I think that I'll do that now. Well, I'll show you the steps. So let's turn this around and get going. Get set up. Get my angles right here. Okay. Of course, my connection is going to be slow, even though I've got a brand new router. It's perfect. So, alright, so I'm just going to start with I got my olive color thread. Most of the thread will be hidden except for at the head, so it's fine with me. And this is very similar to the color of the hook. But as usual, you put on a good base layer of thread for the fly. I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times. I've explained this before, but one of the things that this does is makes the hook shank rough, so that the materials have something to grab onto. I've got some hooks that have almost a polished finish to them, and they're very slick, and even when you're tying the thread on, the thread moves around on the hook, so it's kind of problematic. Anyway, so I've got a couple of different feathers here. I've got one, and I've wet this down so that it would be soft again. It's an older feather, but you can see it's kind of a rough old feather. But I'm going to use that one for the quill, and then this one is a hackle I'm going to use for the barbs sticking up. So I'm also going to use this for part of the tail material, but I'm going to start off by ripping off some of these miscolored and webby parts, and then I'm going to take just a pinch of these feathers, I'm going to grab them like that and just keep working until I get them to line up kind of the way I want them. Something along those lines. Got a couple that are a little bit longer than the rest. I'm going to take that. There we go. Should put that behind the fly, behind the hook. I'm going to tie that on right at the bend of the hook here. A couple of turns, and tie that waist part down there, come under and come back up, and when I pull that, it kind of makes that stand away from the hook, see, so it's straight out instead of hanging down. I'm going to go a few more turns here to cover that up a little bit better. Sometimes when you get some bulk here and you don't do anything over here, it gets thick and stays thick on the back end, so you want to make some turns back towards the head again to help keep it the same size. So I'm going to use this larger feather. So the idea here is that you use, it's called a Quill Gordon because you use the quill part, the shaft part of the feather, as the body of the fly. So I'm going to start at this thinnest part. I'm just going to actually rip all this off, all these barbs, and I could have done this with almost with one fly, using the barbs from this one for the tail portion. Well, I would have needed two because the quill is the body, but you have to use some quill also for the hackle for the wing portion. So I'm just going ahead and cleaning this whole shaft off all the way down. And this part where this end is, that's a little bit hard to do, so I'm just going to go in until it's a little bit thicker here and snip that off. And starting there, so as it goes, it gets thicker, and you want the body to start thinner and get thicker. I'm going to tie this from here to about here, or I guess as far as it'll reach, but that's the idea, is to go from there to there. So I'm going to go here, tie this in, tie it in at a bit of an angle to make that first turn easier. And then you see I'm just covering that into that quill on the shaft of the hook. And I'm going to go down to where I'm going to tie off that quill. So I'm going to wrap it to that point. So I'll start here. I'm just going to wrap this so that it's touching all the way up. Of course, as you get closer, because it gets thicker, your wraps are further over. So it looks like it's not going to cover at first because of that narrow shaft. And this is where I have a problem, because there, you see it goes back down a little bit. You have a little bump where I wasn't careful about where that shaft ended. But you know what? It's not going to matter too much when it hits the water. Maybe the fish will think it's a damaged bug or something. I'll take several turns there, and then and this is a very thick part, but I'm going to make sure that my threads are not cut. There. I want to mash that down as good as I can, where I cut that off, and then I'm going to cover that with thread. I'm going to build this up a little bit more so I have a little bit of body to work with. Come back there. So you see that body, it's kind of segmented looking, and it sort of tapers forward. I didn't do a perfect job of that, but it looks pretty good. One thing that can help that is if I come back and put nail polish on the whole thing, it'll help smooth it over. In fact, I can do that right now. This is clear nail polish. Then I'll go ahead and solidify it and kind of give it a better shape. And that'll dry. Okay, now next portion. This is almost the last part. So I'm going to take another quill. This is kind of it's kind of hard to see, but it kind of has an orange tint to it. And I'm going to strip off again. I'm going to come on this side and strip off again, just one side. And the reason I'm doing that is that whenever I wrap it around the hook, I don't want the ones that are closest to the hook to get in the way of the ones that are sticking out and get all jumbled up. Okay. Go down as far as I can. I have that little bit there. I'm going to come in and snip that off. That. Tie that in, starting right there. See, I need to snip off a little more before I tie it in, or that'll get in the way of the eye. Pretty good. I'll wrap forward on that just to bind it down. Make sure it's neat and tidy. Come back to the front again. I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit here. Okay. I think I'm going to tie in two. I've got one prepared already. Because of the bulk of this hook, it's a very heavy hook. I'm going to tie this one in also. And I'll just mix them together. Cut that shaft off there. There. Tie that in. And I'll just come forward on the head to the eye of the hook, where I'm going to tie off and finish the head off. Alright, now I need my hackle pliers if I can find them. Made a mess. Yep. Messy tying desk there. Get y'all back in the screen there. Okay. Sorry my connection's going in and out. If you want to watch this a little better version, you can go to my YouTube channel afterwards and go Quiet Man 28 and you can watch this. I'll upload it, I'll save it and upload it. It'll be intact and it won't be stopping and starting and out of focus and all that good stuff. So now I'm going to take my hackle plier, which is this little guy. I'm going to grab the hackle here. That. I'm going to snip off that piece of the shaft there that will get all in the way. And I'm just going to wrap this so that it stands out. I'm going to start as close as I can. Just rapid touching turns, using up as much of this. Now, this may not have been the best hackle to choose because the barbs are so tall. As you can see, compared to the bend of the hook, or the gap of the hook, it's almost double the gap. Now, I tend to like my flies a little bigger and bulkier, and I kind of need that extra bulk on this hook because the shaft is so heavy. The hook itself is a heavy wire hook. It's not meant for tying dry flies. It's meant for being a bait holder. But again, I don't always stick to recipes on flies, and part of a recipe includes the type of hook that you use when you tie it. And I just don't have that kind of I don't have time to go buying all kinds of hooks when I've got a bunch of hooks here already. I'm going to move this a little bit forward and just kind of spread it out some. And then I'm going to take this next one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in and grab this, if I can get it, grab this hackle. Now this is a flimsier hackle than the other one. It's not as stiff. Have to be careful with it. I'm just going to go in and mix this with the other one. When you do that, when you go through, you got to kind of wiggle back and forth so you don't press the barbs down. See, there's already some trying to come down. So I'm just going to wiggle back and forth. Broke it. I knew I was going to do that. I always do that with the weak ones. I try to be gentle. And if this doesn't work, I can always snip that one off, and the ones that I've got in there already are pretty good, so I'll probably do the job. I just have a tendency to pull a little bit hard on those and snap them off. Something I need to practice. When I first started tying flies, a video that I watched one of the first things the guy taught you was to get a hook and tie on the thread, and you take a few wraps and then you pull it until it snaps. That way you can get a feel for how hard you can pull on it before it snaps. And I would say you could probably do the same thing with feathers to see how much strength the quill has. Sometimes these quills are really thick and heavy, and sometimes they're thin and really brittle. Just depends on what kind of bird they came from, how old they are, how big they are. It's a lot of factors. It's like anything in life. I'm going to hold this back a little bit. I'm going to build up this head a little bit more. You see there's a little bit of darkness between the twists of the quill, just enough to make it segmented, but otherwise you don't see that dark thread until the head, and then you get a little dark head on there. So that's, to me, that's kind of buggy. That's pretty cool. I don't think I see very often light-colored, like worm-type bugs that have a light-colored head also. Something like a grub that's light-colored and fleshy-colored, but it has a dark head on it. Or a tick that's full of, their skin is real kind of grayish, creamy color, but their head is black. Or fly larvae, same thing. So I'm just going to do a whip finish here. Whip finishes are pretty cool. I'll show you how that works real quick. Kind of explain it. Although it might take a little extra time that I maybe don't have time for in this video. But anyway, the idea about the whip finish is that you pull the thread next to the hook and then you wrap the thread around itself. And this tool helps you do that. You start with the hook there and you wrap it around that dimple, and then it holds it in a figure 4, and then you keep the working end against the hook, and then you wrap this other portion around a few times. You release it, and then you put the thread right where you need it. And that's a pretty good thread, pretty good head there. So we pull this all back and go ahead and get a little bit of nail polish, or what some people would call, it's kind of like cement. I guess some people would call it cement, but it's, or like a lacquer or something. So there's that, and then I've got a couple of barbs here I need to clean off just to finish it up. Okay, and then I just, without getting it in that nail polish, I'll just pull these barbs a little bit forward so they stand up a little bit more. And there is the quill pattern. Now, I could use other feathers, made it bulkier and shorter, made it a little better balanced, but it's a pretty good looking fly. I think that would do the trick. I know in San Marcos I used to fish with bigger flies like that, and they caught very well. And then with a hook that size and that thickness, you wouldn't have to worry about anything breaking off, because it's pretty tough size hook. So anyway, those that watched, thank you for watching, and now you should do what I'm doing and go to bed, because it's late. I got work tomorrow. Had a busy weekend though. Paige and I both sang a concert yesterday, and then today I went with Paige for her to sing a concert in the city. So it was a pretty good weekend for singing for the holidays. But anyway, if you like this video, this is this is Facebook Live, but if you want to go to my YouTube channel, it's QuietMan28. You can search and you can see this would be video number 41. I tied number 40 earlier this evening, about 3 hours ago. Anyway, thank you for watching. Check out my channel, subscribe if you want to. I don't get paid for them, but it's nice to see people that go on there and watch them. And I've had some people say that they're the most soothing videos they've ever watched. So anyway, check them out if you need something in the background to make you go to sleep, or something while you're doing some studying or some reading. They're kind of chill. So I like to watch my own videos because of the same thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.